To somebody who's really special in her own right. This is Aishwarya Rajnikant Dhanush, daughter of the superstar, a celebrity kid, married to a wonderful actor, Dhanush. I'm sure a lot of you must have seen him in Tamil as well as Hindi films. This book, which is so special, it's called Standing on an Apple Box, Memoirs and Memories. I don't know how many of you have read this. You have. So this is her journey from, about being a celebrity kid. But it's not just about the celebrity status, but also her journey as a woman. So let's welcome Aishwarya Rajnikant Dhanush, all the way from Chennai.
Isn't it strange that in a country of 631 million women, there is still only one face of beauty, when there is so much more to be admired? Let's break the rules of beauty.
There'll be a photo opportunity once we finish this session. And of course, I'm sure lots of questions from the audiences. So may I please request the photographers to allow us to start the session, please. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Aishwarya, let's begin from the beginning. What a lovely title, Standing on an Apple Box, which I think is very special for children who grow up on film sets, This book that you talk about your growing up years, and for so many of us who've read this book, it actually surprised me. Because you're right, we don't expect you to have had a normal childhood, and yours is so normal. And that shows on you, let me say, the humility, like your father. I mean, the way you are. But why don't you speak a little about it? Growing up in a house where you could see, where Appa was a superstar, or rather the other way around, superstar Appa. So talk a bit about your childhood and how it was to grow up as the daughter of Rajnikant.
Very good morning to everyone present here. Ellarukkum vanakkam. I would first like to say something before I start. There is a huge movement happening back home. And ரொம்ப பெருமையாக இருக்குது தமிழச்சின்னு சொல்லிக்க. கண்டிப்பாக ஜல்லிக்கட்டு நடக்க வைப்போம். And we need everyone's support. And students power அதை வந்து காட்டிகிட்டு இருக்காங்க ஊரில். எல்லா இடத்துலையும் உலகம் பூரா தமிழர்கள் இதுக்காக போராடிட்டு இருக்காங்க. நடக்க வைப்போம். Thank you.
If I may translate that for a lot of people who do not understand Tamil, Aishwarya says she's very proud to be a Tamil, and she would start the session by saying something about Jallikattu, about which there's an issue back home in Chennai. She says Jallikattu will happen, it should happen, and salutes the power of the students, and she says that it's a movement and requests everybody across the world to join in making it a success. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, now getting back to your question.
Yes.
The purpose of the book was that, mainly that, the misconceptions and the myths surrounding a celebrity kid, not just me, anyone at all, that, we do things a particular way, we do it differently, why we talk the way we do, why we react the way we do. So I just wanted people to know a little bit more and maybe break a little bit of the shackles that, we are also normal. It's not like we're abnormal. There's nothing abnormal about us. We had pretty much the same childhood as anyone else did. So that was the purpose of the book predominantly, I would say.
And the people around you, your grandparents, maternal grandparents, they had a huge role to play during your childhood. And of course, your mother. Did people around you, apart from your family, ever try to make you feel that you were special? Teachers in school, your friends, people around you, people who were from the film world, did they ever treat you like you're special, Aishwarya, because your father is the superstar? Did they succeed in doing that at all?
No, I don't think so because, like I've said in the book, most of my childhood was in Bangalore with my maternal grandparents, and they made sure that I played around on the road with friends. I walked to school. My school was pretty much the opposite building, so I walked to school every day. And I used to go to markets, supermarkets. I used to go to the vegetable market with my grandmother. My birthdays were with friends. We used to just go out to any chart place, or it was very normal. So I think till I was there was no problem at all. And once I got to Madras, I still like to call it Madras. I don't know why. It's just, it makes me feel more close to the place. So it's just that once I got there, back home, my mother we were never taken to shooting spots that much. And we were never taken to the cinema theater much. So, and I studied at my mother's school. So we really did not have anyone around who treated us differently or made us feel that, you know, you're something different or anything of that sort. I think that really helped in having our own individuality and not to taint it, you know, even before we start.
So that was your childhood, and there is a lovely chapter, ladies and gentlemen, in the book about her 18th birthday. You should read it. It's hilarious. It's actually about a lot of us who grew up, and we suddenly thought we were grown up and we could go out on our own, you know, hang out with friends. But your father saw that he turns it into his celebration, in the sense he celebrated along with you and your birthday. Was there ever a window of protest, Aishwarya? Did you ever think, I mean, you could have sulked, for sure. I'm sure you did.
Yes, yes, I
But
did.
did you, all of us have sulked, you know, and said, I'm not going to speak to you for so long and stuff. And like, or dads always say that, why show the anger over food? You eat and then start sulking. But did you ever have a window of protest? Did you ever say, look, I want to talk to you, Appa? You know, I'm like, did you ever have that kind of a conversation with him when you were a young woman?
No, because he was hardly around. I don't remember too many memories when I was a kid where I've seen him at home, because he was doing 7 films a year, and that's pretty much 365 days, I would say. So it was more of my mother handling us alone by herself. So it was never a, and when he was at home, I think I do understand now why my mother did certain things. She would say, you know, when he has just come back from shoot, you know, just for him to spend time with us rather than talk about problems or things or what we felt. So we were always told by her that, you know, enjoy the time that you get with him. Whatever it is, I'll deal with it. So it was never a point where, you know, I have to go talk to him about something or I have to express what I feel, because I think she pretty much did the whole thing and it was pretty complete.
There's a wonderful thing that I read in the book, and it's about how you celebrated every festival at home. There was Christmas, that biryani episode during Eid, you know, when someone would, although all of you were vegetarians, and, you know, biryani would be sent, and special vegetarian biryani would be sent for Aishwarya's mother, Mrs. Rajnikant. So it's a beautiful thing, and something I think we are forgetting in this nation. You know, we're becoming more and more insular. We are, you know, we try to live in our own silos. And when you look back at your father's childhood, he wasn't as exposed as you are, or maybe perhaps others who grew up in big cities. How did your dad manage that, you know, to be able to embrace everything so beautifully? You know, we understand that when we have more exposure, like when you travel or go to university. How did Mr. Rajnikant, you know, allow that let all religions flourish? Let's, you know, celebrate every little festival at home.
I think festivals bring families together, and it's very important that we have to teach the next generation that certain things, there is a reason why certain things are done. And it's not like in today's world, it's so fast moving and everybody has their own thing to do. Nobody really has the time. So unless and until you tell them that, you know, there are these certain dates, there are certain festivities and certain traditions that we have followed, where our grandparents have followed, their parents followed.
Right.
And it's lovely when families get together during festivals, because it's happened as such that those are the only days we get to see uncles or aunts or anybody for that matter. So I think it should be a very conscious effort that families should make sure that these days are followed, because tomorrow my child would otherwise never even know what a Pongal is or a Diwali is. You might say, what's the big deal? You're just buying new clothes almost every day today. Doesn't, those days it was like new clothes, it's a festival. Then you buy, then you buy new clothes.
Yeah, yeah,
Today you just walk into a store or a mall and you're just, shopping has become as a matter of fact. It was not like that before, because I remember in my childhood when my mother used to take us to this sari cloth store called Nalli. And we used to go after hours when it was shut, because it was Diwali and it used to be so crowded. So the store would tell us, request us to come once the store is shut. So we would enter through the back and shop. So that one day was the only day we would shop, and it had so much excitement. But unfortunately today my son doesn't experience that, because for him, he just goes into a store and he would pick up a t-shirt, even it's a Monday or a Tuesday or a Diwali, doesn't really matter. So I think when it's becoming like that, when everything is being so fast-paced and you really don't find value in those small things that people did then, I think it's important that we emphasize on festivals and traditions. It's very important.
Certain myths which need to be exploded. I know that Rajnikant is the superstar, the greatest ever that India will ever have. We have an image, we all carry an image of an actor and this action hero. But in this book, Aishwarya beautifully writes about the spiritual side of her father. He has abiding faith. And I think when I read this book, I thought that his entire life revolves around that silence in that room, where the lights are dimmed, where he's with himself and a power. Why don't you tell people about that, this superstar Rajnikant who actually, surrenders in front of faith?
I think that's been his biggest strength, that the anchor that has held him this close to ground, I think, is his spirituality. As a family, I would say that we are more spiritual than religious, and we take great pride in saying that. And I think our gurus and our gods who we believe in have blessed us more than in abundance. So we need to be grateful and thankful for that every day. And I think that's what he is. He is extremely thankful to his gurus for being with him. And we believe and we have faith they are with him all the time. So I think what I've learned from my father is it's very important to retrospect every day. At the end of the day, it's important that you sit back at least for a couple of minutes and think, how did today go? What did I do? Was I useful to somebody? Did I learn something? Or did I behave badly? I think that really makes a big difference. It makes you understand yourself more. And the more you understand yourself, you're more at peace. And I think that's the most important thing, that you need to be at peace in your own skin and within yourself. So I think that's what I've learned from him and from that dark room.
Which is really fantastic if you read about it. Also, Rajnikant, if you read this book, and I'm sure a lot of you know, comes from a very humble background. And humble as we understand humble, where there were not many opportunities for him or doors opened. It was his destiny and sheer grit which got him to where he is, the superstar. And I think I would love an applause from those people, because I'm such a fan of this man who actually defies what celebrity status is. We all look at him, when we look at him in, at public places, he's so simple, he's in his veshti, I mean, he comes there's no makeup, there is nothing. And a lot of people always in up north believe, is it for real? I mean, is that also a construct? I think that's for real, because, that's how most Tamil men would be. I think you need to bust that myth about him, that it is for real. He will just wear a veshti and say, let's go wherever we have to go.
Like I said, I think he's extremely comfortable in his skin, and he knows that people adore him for who he is, and people respect him and have this unconditional love that they carry for him, for who he is. He doesn't, it's not just the persona that is on screen, but it's also the man outside the screen. So I think he respects that, and I think people also respect it. It's extremely mutual, and it's beautiful what they share with him, and he loves what they share with him too. So he doesn't see a reason why he should look exactly like how he does on screen. in real life, and I don't think people also expect that out of him, and I think people relate with him more because of the way he is off screen than on screen. So I think it's worked for the better for both.
You talk about an extramarital affair in the book, I mean, without naming the characters, because I think it's part of our life, and I will not say it's part of film world. It's very unfair to say. It's part of everybody's, I mean, it's not going to sit on judgment, but it happens. How do you deal as the daughter of Rajnikant and also the wife of a fantastic actor, Dhanush? How do you deal when the rumors are surrounding the men in your life? What is the strength? I mean, everybody deals it differently. One would like to listen from you. What is it that you do to keep all that out from your life?
It might sound very cliche when I'm going to say what I'm about to say, but it's the truth that you don't let it too much into your home. The minute you let what people say into your home, then there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of unpleasantness, there's a lot of doubt. And I don't think doubt should ever creep in, because that's what spoils the peace in anybody's house. And I think from where we stand and where we belong in the society, rumors and criticism is part and parcel. You really can't avoid it.
Yes.
And if you're going to say, if you're going to let it affect you, then you're going to be depressed all your life. So it is in your hands whether to decide whether you want to be depressed all your life and let it affect you, or just say, okay, this is what people think. I respect what you think, but I'm sorry, this is not what I think about it.
Fantastic. Talking about this, you know, there is a lovely, I see that there is a bridge that you've created from your father's home to being Dhanush's wife, because, you know, it's beautiful. There are a lot of similarity between the two people. I don't know if you agree, but I feel there is a lot of similarity the way they are. Very humble backgrounds, down to earth, fantastic actors and everything. You know, you'll be surprised. We all talk about how young people need more freedom, which they do. I salute it. But there is also a world out there where children still listen to their parents. And imagine you have Rajnikant for a father. I would like Aishwarya to speak about how between the time that she got to know Dhanush and became Dhanush's wife, there was hardly any time. She was told very clearly, marry him. That's it. Please talk about it.
Yes, there was no courting period. There was no engagement period. It was more like, okay, you've decided this is the man of your life. Get married. That was it. There was no dating period, because I think my parents are very conservative, and I respect that because that's the way they were brought up, and I don't blame them for being the way they are. And I do understand that they have a lot of pressure bringing us up when we were kids. So there was no point where I could go up to them and say, you know, just give me a little bit of time, give him also a little bit of time, let's figure this out. There was no figuring it out. It was just plain getting married. So my engagement happened a day before my marriage. And the whole thing happened in a span of 1 year. So there was hardly any time to decide anything, and or even you know, rethink about what you've decided. But I think it worked for the good, and God has been really kind. So, yeah.
But you know, I'm very surprised you say your parents are conservative, because their marriage was very unusual. I mean, a young woman goes to interview him, and she sees a film before that and figures that this is the man. They are from different communities. Your father was not the superstar that... wasn't there a problem when they were getting married? I mean, the two of them?
I would say my grandparents were in that conservative, maybe. I think they
Yeah.
were a little more liberal. So she had it easier than what I had it with her.
Okay, all right. You were appointed the UN Woman, you know, advocate for gender equality, which is fantastic, which is something that you believe in. But also we see that cinema in general can tend to be misogynistic. And Tamil cinema, I'm not talking separately about Tamil cinema. Cinema in general. There are a lot of things are written about how women are given certain roles, how after they have a baby they're not given roles, how the man is always paid more than the woman, it's always a hero on whose name the film runs. How do you deal with that? Because on the one hand you speak about gender equality, but you're a very integral part of an industry where women are still not given the same, you know, status as a hero is.
I would agree with you, but I would also like to say that it has changed from a decade ago. It was not even this much 10 years back, or even say 5 years back. For a woman filmmaker to make one film and then to make her next film was close to impossible 10 years back. But today, I'm making my third film today. And we have editors who are women. We have just not actresses. We have women have broken into every field. I would say cinematographer, story writer, lyric writer. It was not like this before. The progress is slow, but it's steady. I think that's most important. And today there is more awareness. And what I would like, as being where I stand from and being an advocate for gender equality, for women not to fear to express what they feel. I think if there is no fear, there is a lot of progress.
But do you think that, editors, cinematographers, everything, but when it comes to appearance, it is still, a heroine is supposed to look a particular way, or do you think even that is being broken? In Tamil cinema, at least, it's been broken, that you don't have to be conventionally good looking. But do you think it will take time before it happens more often?
It is happening. I think it's the progress is very organic, and I think it is happening. And it depends more on the script. So it's not about, if you're making a commercial film and you have to have somebody who looks glamorous. You cannot come up there and say, I will de-glam, I will look the way I have to. So you provide what the movie needs. You provide what the script needs. So with regard to that, I think today's audience have also evolved.
Right.
I think they're opening out to new genres. They're welcoming new content. So with that in mind, I think everything will change, and everything is changing.
In the book, she talks about a devoted fan. As you know, Tamil cinema particularly has fan clubs, and it's a different phenomenon completely. And I'm sure a lot of you must have read about it. There were fan clubs for MGR, for Shivaji sir, for Rajni, of course. There are fans for Kamal. A lot of fans. She speaks about a particular fan called Karthik, and I think that's my favorite chapter.
Thank you.
It's my favorite chapter. It's also their recognition of that fan, and who, unfortunately, I'm not going to let out what happens. But then their entire family, the way they recognize that fan. I would like to speak, because you're married to Dhanush. Who, according to you, because there are fans and there are fans, who, according to you, is the real, genuine fan of a superstar, of any star?
I would say a fan is someone who respects the person they idealize and not come becoming a fan just to criticize. That is not how it works. And like you said, down south, it's people look at not just the person they idealize as their favorite, they look at the family as a whole. When it comes to me, each fan looks at me as a daughter in their home, which is so beautiful. What kind of a blessing, what can you ask? You can't ask for anything more. They look at you as a daughter, as a sister in their family, as a friend in their own home. So they embrace the whole family. It's not just the one person. And I think anyone who does that is a great fan.
Lovely. I saw the foreword is by Shweta Bachchan for her book, and also considering she's the daughter of another amazing star, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. I saw both of you in conversation, and I saw that both of you as young mothers are very bothered about the social media and how you deal with it so far as your kids are concerned. Shweta spoke particularly about her daughter. You have 2 sons. Your mother kept you, very well secured. But in today's world, which is exposed, and your sons, one 10, the other 6, how do you deal with it? How do you deal with abuse, trolling? How do you deal with comments which are really, really not true, basically? How do you deal with it as a mother and also as a woman?
I think it's not just me. It's not about being a celebrity or not. Today, bringing up children with the whole social media is a huge challenge. And it's very difficult to draw the balance. You can't keep them alienated. It's not possible. At the same time, you don't know how much to give, how much to keep it open to them. So, and it's not just about what you do at home. They go to school. It's not like you can bring them up in a glass house. They go to school, they meet friends. So even if you don't get it at home, they get to know of it from friends and from peer. So it's just difficult today to keep anything away from them. So I think the best way would be to explain to them in the best possible way, rather than telling them that, no, this is not allowed. Because you cannot not allow anything today. It's become that way. It's an irony that my son thinks Google knows better than the mom. It's horrible. And when back then, when I was a kid, when my mom told me that this is what something is, there was no questioning. There was like, okay, this is what it is. But today my son can Google and say, no, Google says something else. You are saying something else. So which one do I follow? So it's a huge challenge to bring up kids today. But I guess that's the norm. You can't help it. So we'll have to pray that things don't go haywire, and we'll have to do the best we can given the circumstances. And it's a lot of pressure for celebrity kids today, and there's so much criticism, and they just cannot go wrong. They're expected to be perfect, and that's not possible with children.
You say in the book that you've taught your son how to turn away from photographers, right? You have.
Yes.
And I mean, I would like to, what is it? Is it because that you don't want them to be photographed, or you think that it's not necessary,
I think it's important for them to have a normal childhood. And once they're photographed, their pictures are all over the place, then he can't just walk in the beach, play in the beach, or walk into a park, go to a temple, or visit a church. There's nothing that he can do, because everyone's going to look at him differently. And when they look at him differently, he is going to look at himself differently. And that's going to taint his childhood. And I do not want that for him. I don't want him growing up thinking that I'm different, I can get away with things, I can do what I want, I can say certain things and get away with it. No, I don't want that for him. So I'm trying my best to keep them away from the media until an age where they can understand that, okay, this is a part of my life which I'll have to deal with, but this is not life wholly. So it's difficult, but yes, I'm trying my best. So if I bring up normal children, I think I would consider myself a good mom.
I'm sure you are a good mom,
Thank
Aishwarya. There is a contrast. She's got a sister called Soundarya. In the book, she talks about how she was always a quiet child. She always, listened to her parents. But Soundarya also listened to her parents. But Soundarya's personality was very different. Now, look at from our prism. We would think that Soundarya is more like Rajnikant, because we have this construct. I would like you to speak about the contrast between the two of you. Such lovely sisters, your best friends. But then this contrast, who's more like the father and who's more like the mother?
I think I have taken after my father a lot.
There you
Looks
are.
wise.
Another myth,
Two,
Huh.
I would say the nose gives it away.
Nose. Yes.
And it's just that even, we humor ourselves at home, my sister and I. When we talk over the phone, we say, so how's your mom? And she asks me, so how's your dad? So we talk to each other. We just mock each other that way, because I guess it's just that we love both equally, obviously. But then there is a connect that each one shares, and you can never explain why someone connects with someone, whether it's your parent, your sibling, or a friend, or a teacher. You never know why there is a connect, and connects cannot be explained, and it cannot be planned. So I guess I connect better with my father, while she connects with my mother. But when today, at least, given the fact that I travel so much and I'm working, I think I would say that I would have to say and be very, very clear that I connect with my mother more, because she takes care of my kids when I'm traveling, and I think that's the biggest blessing today for me. Yeah.
The other thing is about working women. How do you transit from being a single woman to a married woman and then a working mother with children and stuff? Yet another thing which I found very fascinating in this book is that a lot of women in our country, which is also true, feel that once you're married, then it's pretty much over. I mean, you have to do what your husband or others ask you to do. In this case, although Aishwarya did not rebel in that fashion, she got married to the man she loved, there's a beautiful transition that she made. She wanted to always to be a lawyer. She wanted to study. And you should hear from her how Dhanush helped her do that, Why don't you talk about that? Where he encouraged you and said, do it.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it brief, because otherwise it might sound like I'm bragging about my own family and husband. So it's, I think, again, I should say God has been very kind. And most of my professional life was only after I got married, and much later, much after I had kids, and
Yes.
it didn't start off much earlier in my life. And I guess I believe a lot in destiny, and I feel that there is a certain time for certain things to happen for certain people, and that is the only time it will happen. No matter how much you stand upside down, things, if it's not going to happen, it will not happen. But I should say that I should give it to my husband, that he was the one who encouraged me to stand on my own, do my own thing, have my own individuality, and if you really want to work, I think you should work. That's what he said, and gave me that confidence and that nudge to start off with. My first film, he gave me dates. He believed in my story, and it was a big deal at that point because he was doing well for himself, and he could have given those dates to any other filmmaker, but he believed in me and he pushed me to do what I wanted to do. And yes, I did want to be a lawyer, and it was a huge regret that I did not become one, but I guess this is where I was meant to be, and I'm happy doing what I'm doing. So it's a blessing when you work and you like your work. Everybody, there are a lot of people who have to work, and there are a lot of people who don't like what they do, but I think I'm blessed enough to say that I'm enjoying what I do, and I like doing what I do. So I should thank him for that.
Apart from your father, who was, when you were growing up, which actor did you really like in Tamil cinema? I mean, you would go and watch him all the time, or it could be Hindi. Who was it?
We weren't allowed to watch too many films.
Yeah,
My
but-
mother was pretty strict
Yeah.
about that. And the films I watched while I was growing up were all black and white, or it was predominantly Tamil films.
Right.
And it was also these Eastman color films,
Yeah.
which were like, the God films, which Saraswati and Sabadam and Kandan Karunai and
Yes.
all that stuff, which is fascinating because the kind of productions that they brought about then, I
Yes.
don't think we can do today.
Right.
How they, without having so much of CG or anything at all at that point, the kind of movies that they brought out then, it's such a challenge for people making films today with so much of technical advancement. A Maya Bazaar or a Chandralekha, I don't think we can even
Impossible.
think of
Yeah,
doing today.
yes.
So it's amazing, and I really need to thank my mother for giving us that foundation, that to know the value of the kind of films that were made then. There were times when I used to ask her, why are we not going to theaters like other children? Why are we not watching any of the current films? But she said, first finish all this. I think this is what you need to watch. So I today feel I'm so happy and proud to say that I love classics, and I do the same with my children because I know that foundation is so important, and they made such quality films. It was so much good content, like Sound of Music or Roman Holidays. So it was just, I grew up watching classics.
So, which actor did you like when you saw, those, even
MGR, I would say.
MGR? Fantastic. Aishwarya, there is one thing which I see that, you're a child of a superstar, you're married to an actor, but somewhere seems to be a reluctance in not allowing your own kids to join cinema. If they did something else, if they became a doctor, I mean, I'm not just talking about you, but a lot of people say, and I've heard, if he or she became a doctor, I would be happy. If he or she became a teacher, professor, studied abroad, I would be happy. There is a bit of reluctance, isn't it? I mean, would you like your kids to be actors tomorrow if they want to be happily?
I would be happy if they were actors, but I wouldn't want them to think that this is all they can do. I would like to open out the world to them. I would like them to study. I would like them to travel. I would like them to know what they really want. I don't want them to just be stuck here thinking that this is the only thing that they should do and this is the only thing that they can do or should be doing. If they really want to be actors, I'm going to be happy, and I'm proud of the two actors in my home, and it's a beautiful profession. I respect the industry I belong to, but I would want them to first experience the world. I wouldn't want them to just think that this is all it is. If they want to become a doctor or if they want to become a scientist, I would be more than encouraging, and I wouldn't tell them that this is what you have to do.
Right.
So as a mother, I think it's my duty to open the world out to them and then for them to decide rather than for them to think that this is the only thing that they can do.
Did you ever get film offers, you or your sister, when you were growing up to act?
Not that I know of.
Okay. And which film is your, for father's film is your favorite? I mean, if you have to pick one.
That's a very hard question. It's a very unfair question because it's quite a long list, but I like the actor in him more than the star in him. I think people, it's through the years, that's not had too much of a chance to come out. He's a great actor, I feel. So
Moonru Mudichu
yes,
is
and
my
I like
favorite.
Thilumulu.
Yes. Thilumullu. Yes,
Yes.
fantastic. Absolutely. Where the actor comes to the
Yes.
forefront rather than the star that
Yes,
people
yes.
know him as. Very important to ask you, part of cinema, if there is one thing or rather two things that you want changed in Indian cinema, it could be anything. What do you hope for the betterment of, Indian cinema? We celebrated 100 years. We've seen it's a very vibrant industry, the biggest in the world. Still, as a very integral part of it, two things that you would like changed.
I would like piracy not to exist. I think that is what is like the virus that has caught our industry, and there are a lot of people suffering because of it. So I think if there is no piracy, that would be the best thing that can happen to Indian cinema or cinema itself as a whole. I think that is what I would wish for our industry. I think that's pretty much it. Otherwise, we are definitely progressing, and it's great where we stand today.
Absolutely. After this, she wrote this book in 1 year, which is amazing because with all that she does, and as a woman, I would say, and I would not even say as a celebrity kid, taking care of 2 kids, she's a working woman. She told me that she finished it in 1 year's time. Any plan to write anything else? Do you have more books inside you? Do you need to express them?
I think the writing bug has caught me. I wouldn't say no.
Lovely.
And writing this one was easy, I would say, because it was more like writing a diary.
Yes.
So it was not like I really did not have to prove anything to anyone, whether I know the language well or whether I know to use my words well, whether it's well written. I did not have such pressures, but I am looking at my next. I'm thinking about it, and I think it would be a collection of stories, maybe short stories.
Fantastic. The floor is now open for questions. If anyone wants to ask, please raise your hand.
Hi, I'm curious to know how you got, right here. I'm curious to know how you got your first publishing deal. Would you attribute any of that to your celebrity status as well as your father's?
I'm sure that cannot be avoided, and I approached HarperCollins I told them that I have a few pages that I've written. Let me know if you're interested, and that's how it started.
Hi, I'm a Tamilian, but I live in Bombay. So throughout my childhood, I've seen only Hindi movies, and other than that, probably Salanga Yoli and Mauna Ragam, that's all. Now, after the 11th grade, I got interested in Tamil movies. But the problem is, there aren't that, I don't know what to get attracted to because most of it is just action movies. So, is there anything, how do you think you can contribute to better cinema? Because I think there's a lack of that there. Or maybe because of all of them being small production, most of them, maybe they're not brought to the fore. So what is your view on that?
You have seen just 2 Tamil films. So I think you should see more and then ask me this question after that. Yeah, I think there is a lot of good content out there. And like I told you, you've seen just 2. I think you need to really watch more Tamil films, and then I'm sure you would change your mind.
Hi.
Hi.
So my question for you is, your father has been a superhero for the world, right? What about your mother? How was she a superhero in your lives as children?
I think if I'm sitting here, it's because she's been the super mom at home. So I have to give it to her, and she is the one who holding the family together. If not for her at home, I don't think any of us would be able to travel this much or pursue our dreams, pursue our passion, or do anything at all. So I think that by itself proves that she's the super mom.
Hi Ashwarya,
Hi.
that's really nice to see you in Jaipur. Thank you so much for visiting JLM.
My pleasure.
So my question to you is, despite all the growth of India, there's still women are treated not very good. Like there are rapes and harassments going on. So would you like to write about it or produce a movie on it?
I think it's much more serious than that. And today it's good that the media, the social media, the press, anybody for that matter, um, you know, makes people aware of what's happening. Maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, even 4 or 5 years ago, whatever happened in the north was not known to people in the south, or what was happening in the south, down south, was not reaching even people in the cities in the south. But today, when something happens, we know about it instantaneously because of the kind of exposure that the media has, and everything is at our palm. So I think it is getting better, and the awareness is there. And movies, yes, we need to make movies on these, but they cannot be made lightly. So they have to be addressed to in a very serious manner.
Any other there she is, yeah.
Hi ma'am, I'm Vidya from
Hi.
Madurai. My friend Aishwarya, we both came
Vanakkam.
here to meet you. I would like to ask the question in Tamil, ma'am. Shall I?
கேளுங்க, please.
தமிழ்ல
கேளுங்க.
பேசுங்க.
Before that, ma'am, first எங்களோட ரொம்ப பாராட்டுக்கள். நீங்க ஜல்லிக்கட்டு பத்தி பேசினதுக்கு ரொம்ப ரொம்ப பெருமையா இருந்துச்சு. உங்களை இங்க பார்க்கிறதுக்கு நாங்க ரொம்ப பெருமையா feel பண்றோம். We are very happy about you. And it's a fan question. When will you going to do a movie with Dhanush sir? We are very excited about that. Please, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to just answer in English first. So I've already done a movie with Dhanush. My first film was with Dhanush, and it would be really pushing it and being greedy if I ask him for dates again. And then I don't want people also to think that only people in my home are giving me dates. Then that questions me as a filmmaker too. So I wouldn't want that. So I think I'm going to work more, and then I'm going to wait until he thinks that I'm worthy enough of his dates again, and then maybe. And இங்க இருக்கிறதுல ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமா இருக்கு. உங்களை இங்க பார்த்ததுல ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமா இருக்கு. கண்டிப்பா கண்டிப்பா. Thank you.
Your name is Vidya, young lady? What did you say your name was? Vidya, illa? What Vidya said was, I mean, it's just fair that I translate it for everybody who's here. She first congratulated, she's from Madurai, come all the way from Madurai. Thank you so much, Aishwarya and Vidya. Romba nandri vandirukku. She's come for JLF, this beautiful festival, all the way from Madurai. She's, first of all, congratulated Aishwarya, Rajnikant, Dhanush for what she said about Jallikattu right at the beginning of this session. And then asked her, of course, which was very self-explanatory, whether she'll be doing a film with Dhanush, that is Aishwarya's husband. And right at the end, Aishwarya also said that she's very happy to see the young ladies here, and she shall convey their message to her superstar father, Rajnikant. Any other questions from the audience? There, yeah.
Ma'am, can I have a selfie with you?
Yeah, of course.
But
Come
in
along.
Tamil, how will you do that? Not now, later, young lady. Yeah. Anyone else? There's a hand there. Yeah.
Hi, thanks for supporting Jallikattu. I am a
Of
Tamil
course.
and I hope it happens soon. So my question is about when it comes to your father, there has always been a comparison with Kamal Haasan. So there are so many actors in Tamil, but still Rajini versus Kamal has always been a comparison which runs in all debates. So what I want to ask is, in social media I keep hearing criticism that when it comes to Kamal's daughters and Rajini's daughters, they compare it like that. So do you see such comparison? How do you deal such comparison? Or do you justify to yourself that I am better? Or like, how do you handle that comparison for yourself?
I think we, first of all, shouldn't compare ourselves with both of them. They are stalwarts, and I think we're nowhere close. And I don't think there would be a comparison because we're in different fields altogether. And comparison makes you grow. It's all right. Competition is good. And if if it's taken in the healthy manner, why not?
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
So you got the award or you got the nomination for gender equality, right? So I just want to know that how do you promote gender equality in India, or some precautions which must take for gender equality?
I think it's a very collective effort, and it's more of a responsibility bestowed on you more than anything else. And if the organization thinks that my voice would make a difference, then I would make that happen down south or wherever, because like I told you, from where I stand, people look at me as a part of their family, and it's a great feeling to have that kind of wanting and to feel that kind of belonging. And if I'm able to make even a couple of women fearless about expressing what they are going through, or wanting to do something with their lives, I think I would consider my job done.
We just have, time for one more question, and after that, yeah.
Hello, madam.
Hi.
Did you ever have any difference of opinion with your father, or you ever been worked as a critic for his films, any of his films?
I think family is the biggest critic always, and we always have something to say about every film. And I think that's good, because someone needs to do that job. So I think, yes, we all at home are his biggest critics.
That's all we have time for. Aishwarya, Rajnikant, Dhanush, thank you so much for such
It's been a pleasure,
lovely
and thank you so
session.
much.
I think
Thank
it was really a wonderful, fantastic session. May the photographers, you can all come in front, but before that, I have an announcement to make. Aishwarya will be signing copies. Please buy. Standing on the apple cart, it's such a beautiful book. This is the book that she's done. She'll be signing copies. And as for now, yeah, only books. Yeah. I've been told categorically no autographs and everything. Please, let's not disturb her. But then only copies. And she will now, the photographers can take pictures. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the day.